I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, could U.S. troops be going back to Iraq? We'll tell you what military leaders told Congress today. And there's word tonight the president is poised to take executive action on immigration. A proposal to recycle treated wastewater getting support from environmental groups. We'll tell you what San Diego's mayor needs to do next to move forward.
Plus, if you're shopping for health insurance, open enrollment starts this weekend under the Affordable Care Act. I'm Peggy Pico with what's new this year and where you can get help signing up. Plus, what can modern cities learn from new research that links too many people and not enough water to the fall of an ancient empire nearly 3,000 years ago?
I think that brewing starts the minute you start thinking about brewing a beer.
Beer isn't just for the pros. Tonight, we'll introduce you to a home brewer and take you into their world. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. The Pentagon says it would consider sending U.S. troops back to Iraq to join the fight against Islamic State militants. Today, Army General Martin Dempsey told a congressional panel it would be a modest increase and would involve more complex missions against ISIS. He says Iraqi forces may need help with operations such as retaking the city of Mosul or restoring the border with Syria. But at this time, there are no official plans for more troops. Immigration advocates say President Obama is ready to unveil a series of executive actions to shield as many as 5 million immigrants from deportation. The New York Times reports the plan includes protections for parents of U.S. citizens and legal residents, and expansion of the program for Dreamers. Those are young folks brought into the country illegally as children. Now, the report says the announcement is expected before the end of this year. Republicans, meanwhile, in Congress are strongly opposed. Environmental groups are supporting a proposal to increase the use of recycled water in the city of San Diego. Mayor Kevin Faulkner says the Pure Water program would divert wastewater from the Point Loma treatment plant and send it into 3 advanced treatment facilities, providing an independent source of drinking water for every neighborhood.
When these plants are fully operational in 2035, we will be recycling 83 million gallons of water a day, or roughly 1/3 of our local water supply.
But the mayor needs the council's approval next week to move forward. 85% of San Diego's water is imported. The proposal would also significantly reduce the amount of treated sewage flowing into the ocean. The latest drought monitor map shows just how dire the water situation is in California. The brick red section is where the drought is worse. You see it here now. The National Drought Monitor calls it exceptional. Now, most of San Diego County is still under extreme drought. That is the second worst level. Governor Jerry Brown met with his counterparts today from other western states. The governors are hoping a collaborative effort will help get more resources and get other lawmakers working together to save water and help our struggling farmers.
I think the drought will test our imagination and our science, our technology, and our political capacity to collaborate. So I'm very glad that we're collaborating with Nevada, Republican, Democrat, the staffs, the technicians, but also the kind of amateur representatives of the people. We all have to pull together.
The Drought Forum continues tomorrow in Sacramento. Next month, the governors will meet again in Las Vegas. San Diego also got a visit today from the executive director of Covered California. Leaders of the State Healthcare Exchange are on a 9-day, 21-city bus tour to help spread the word about open enrollment. It starts this weekend. Peggy Pico has an update and tips for signing up or renewing.
The Affordable Care Act began offering health insurance plans to the uninsured 1 year ago. Sign-ups through our state's exchange covered California is considered a big success, especially in San Diego, where enrollment was nearly 3 times more than expected. Here to talk about where to find help and this year's enrollment options are my guests, Dana Howard with Covered California and Gary Rado with the Council of Community Clinics of San Diego and Imperial Counties. Welcome.
Dave, it's good to be here.
Now, Dana, how many people in San Diego County are still uninsured?
Well, there's roughly about 240,000 folks in San Diego County, both who are Medi-Cal eligible and who are eligible for Covered California, who don't have insurance through us.
Even after this year long, and we'll get back to that. But Gary, give us an idea of who these people are that are uninsured and how come they're not insured.
There are a few different groups of people. There are some that we talk about, whether you say they are risk takers or risk deniers, commonly called the young invincibles, folks that feel that they don't need it. They don't see the value and don't understand the value of having insurance, preventing a catastrophic illness, exactly, or accident. And then you have folks that may be in mixed status households where some folks are eligible and others are not.
What are you doing here in San Diego to address the mixed status households? How are you addressing that gap and that issue?
Well, our clinics are used to having, first of all, the certified enrollment counselors, the CECs, that have helped people in the past enroll and will continue to do that in the clinics. And they also have the promotores, those health educators that continue to go out into the community to educate people about prevention and other healthy habits. And as they find people that could be covered, they want to encourage them. They want to talk with them. They're already trusted, and we want to be able to build upon that trust and engage them to get the coverage.
I just want to clarify before I ask you about this. Mixed status, we're talking about people who maybe the children are eligible, but maybe the grandparents aren't because of their immigration status. So some people are eligible and some aren't, so you're reaching out to those folks.
Exactly. Sometimes people feel that the parents and the kids can be covered, the grandparents aren't eligible, so they opt out. We want to get them to go ahead and opt in.
And let me ask you, Dana, and it's secure, right? Because this has nothing to do with immigration status?
That's correct. Folks give us their information. It is not shared with other agencies for use in any kind of immigration enforcement. So people need to know that the applications that they give us and when they enroll, it is confidential. And as well, if they go out and they get somebody like an insurance agent or an enrollment counselor to help them, that help is free. They cannot charge you for it, and it's confidential. It is not shared.
Let's talk about open enrollment. How long does it last right now?
Open enrollment starts November 15th, Saturday, and it ends February 15th. It's a shorter season this year. Last year it was 6 months. This time is 3 months. So there's a big lift to get everybody in that 3-month period.
Now, what do you need to do if you already have Covered California insurance? Do you need to do anything?
Well, there's two options. You can do nothing, and you'll be auto-renewed into the same plan that you already have, just like if it were in an employer base, like you were getting your health insurance through your employer. If you don't like what you have, you think you want to shop around and get something that's a better fit, now is the time to do that. It's called the renewal period, and open enrollment starts November 15th. For the past couple of weeks, people have been able to renew, shop around, find that plan that you think is a better fit, get it done by December 15th, so you'll have that coverage in effect January 1st.
And now, Gary, if you are already enrolled, for the people in San Diego already enrolled, let's say they want to switch their plan, they want to find something different, can your clinics and your people there help with that?
Absolutely. As we've done before in helping people to look at what their options are, what type of plan, we can help them to change plans if they like. They want to make sure that their provider, that their physician who they trust, that they can continue to see that person as part of a plan. We can help them with that. That's part of the role of the certified enrollment counselor.
What about insurance rates? Are they going to be the same this year for everyone in Covered California?
Well, there was an increase, roughly about 4.2% weighted average across the state, but it also varies on your plan. There are some plans here in San Diego where the rates went down. Others went up a little bit. So you'll have to check in your particular situation and your particular age and where you're living and so forth, what actually did happen with your plan. And if your plan went up, shop around, because it could be, and it most likely is the case, that your subsidy or what's called advanced premium tax credit went up because the insurance rates went up. And so you're going to really get possibly a zero effect on your actual costs.
Okay, and just wrapping up on the financial side of this, people who did not get health insurance this year or aren't going to sign up in enrollment, is there a tax penalty for that?
Yeah, there is, and it's going to be more. Last year it was $95 or 1%, whichever is greater. This year it's going to be $325 or 1.5% of your income, whichever is greater, and that's a significant increase.
So the idea then is sign up even if it's through Covered California, Gary?
Through Covered California, through 211, through certified enrollment counselors, go ahead and sign up. We want to help you. We want to have that culture of coverage and care.
All right, Gary Roto and Dana
everybody
Howard.
Be able to say, I'm
in it. All right, all right. Gary Roto and Dana Howard, thank you so much.
Thank you, Peggy.
Very good, thank you.
From healthcare to education, U.S. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan is in San Diego to promote and get feedback on Common Core. KPBS education reporter Matt Bowler joins us from the newsroom with the story.
First thing this morning, the Secretary met up San Diego Unified Superintendent Cindy Martin at Will Angier Elementary in Serra Mesa.
Do you know why? Why are they in your trip to Spring?
The pair sat in on a fifth grade class. He and Martin also held an open roundtable with teachers and parents to talk about how Common Core is being implemented. Duncan remembers coming to San Diego a few years ago and seeing a school district facing challenges.
I came here 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and it was very challenging, frankly, because there was so much dysfunction, so much turnover.
But now Duncan says things have changed, and what San Diego needs is long-term commitment to that change through its board.
So if the board can stay together, if the superintendent and her team can stay and have a 10-year, 12-year, 15-year run, whatever it might be, just imagine where the district can be down the road.
The Council of Chief State School Officers is holding its annual forum on education policy at the U.S. Grant downtown. In the afternoon, Duncan moved there to take feedback from states on education policy changes, testing, and how to encourage districts to improve performance. Matt Bowler, KPBS News.
U.S. government now patrols nearly half the Mexican border by drones alone. As Brian Sokoloff of the Associated Press shows us, it's part of an effort to control desolate stretches where there are no agents, camera towers, or fences.
Tucked away in piles of rocks and other secret spots, Jim Chilton's hidden cameras spread across his Arizona ranch have captured dozens of people illegally crossing his property from Mexico.
This is the drug channel that the cartel leaves mostly for cartel drug movement.
And Chilton isn't the only one quietly watching the border. The government's latest tool to monitor the roughly 2,000-mile boundary with Mexico? Drones. 3 flown from here, an Army base in Arizona, where the AP got a rare look inside the operation.
The ability to have the UAS respond quickly and start searching that area and putting out that electronic fence, for lack of a better term, looking for this group of people who are going to do harm to our country is critical.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection says they add another layer of security to curb the flow of illegal immigration, drugs, and weapons. In the last few years, the drones have flown thousands of missions, but the extra eyes in the sky aren't sitting well with everyone.
There's no reason to watch me, or my family, or my dad.
John Ladd's family has raised cattle in the border town of Naco, Arizona for more than 100 years. He already has several CBP surveillance cameras on his property and calls the drones another invasion of privacy.
And I really don't like that. And part of the immigration issue is we live out in the country and we don't have any privacy because we either have illegals, dopers, or Border Patrol.
Lothar Eckert, who runs the drone surveillance program, says their mission is clear.
I don't have this requirement to go read people's license plates. I don't have this requirement to, x-ray through somebody's house. I mean, that's not what my job is to defend the border of the United States.
Something Rancher Chilton supports.
So why should I be concerned about drones?
Officials are now eyeing expanding the program to the Canadian border as the government goes to new heights to catch what's happening on the ground. Brian Skoloff, Associated Press, Sierra Vista, Arizona.
Well, a new report says our ongoing drought is making smog worse. State air quality experts say the Central Valley is having its worst pollution levels in a decade. Pollutants aren't getting washed away or blown away, but rain is in the forecast for Northern California.
Rain will wash out some of the particles and pollutants in the atmosphere, which is a good thing. But also rain is usually accompanied by heavy winds, and the winds will just blow all the air pollution away and get rid of it. So that cleans up the air too.
The air quality is so bad in the Central Valley, school sporting events have been canceled until the air is cleaner. New research shows climate change isn't just a modern-day problem. A study led by a UC San Diego researcher links drought to the demise of the ancient Assyrian Empire, the region now known primarily as Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and Egypt. Peggy Pico takes a look at possible similarities to California's drought problems.
The UC San Diego joint study is thought to be the first to connect climate change, specifically drought and overpopulation, to the fall of the Old World Assyrian Empire in 7th century BCE, and eerie parallels found between ancient climate change and current conditions in Southern California may offer lessons to help modern cities avoid the same fate. Here to explain how is co-author of the study, anthropologist, my guest, Adam Schneider. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. Now, you're not saying that drought and overpopulation was the sole cause of the Assyrian Empire's fall.
No, not at all. What we're suggesting is that they were background factors that helped to create instability that, along with other political and economic factors together, brought about the collapse of the Assyrian state.
Okay, and your research actually connects recently published climate data found on ancient clay tablets, right? When were those tablets found, and what'd they say?
So it's kind of a funny story. My co-author, Dr. Selim Adala of Bilkent University in Ankara, Turkey, he came to me with this tablet that he was working on. It was written by an astrologer, and it was written to a famous Assyrian king named Ashurbanipal. And the astrologer was replying to Ashurbanipal's query about the meaning of certain disastrous events. And one of them was this drought that he references. And if you don't mind me reading the quote.
Yeah, please, see what it says here.
The astrologer says, "And about this year's rains that were diminished, and that no harvest was reaped, this is a good omen for the life and well-being of the king my lord." So he's spinning this disastrous lack of harvest that was caused apparently by a lack of rainfall as something that was actually good for Ashurbanipal in some way.
But it ended up not being good.
Well, we certainly think so, yeah.
Okay, you're an archaeologist, an anthropologist, and a paleoclimatologist. Mm-hmm. What impact did you find in the ancient empire's climate change that might be the same kind of impact that we face here in Southern California today?
Well, the issue for the Assyrian Empire was that they lived in a semi-arid place, as we do. And like people in Southern California today, their primary source of water was very far away from their homeland. They had to build canals that were 100, 150 kilometers in some cases of canals and other hydroengineering projects to bring water from the mountains to the north and east. And in a way, if you massively blow up the scale, Los Angeles, San Diego are very similar because we're taking water out of the Colorado River, out of the mountains in the Sierra Nevada, and that's how we're trying to overcome our own relatively limited water supply that's local.
And would you say that this information, this historical information, could help San Diego and high-density cities? And if so, how would you translate that?
Well, I mean, in terms of anything practical, it's not necessarily the most useful data they could find. But as far as an object lesson is concerned, pointing out that when you don't deal with these problems, when you sort of sit on them and wait and hope that everything works out for the best and you don't conserve water actively, we can see the economic impacts that occur for a major urban area in the past. And so what they do tell us is that it's really important for us to actively try to conserve water, to go out of our way to do everything we can to protect ourselves against drought, because we don't want to end up with the problems the Assyrians had economically and politically, with overpopulation and not enough water to feed people, or excuse me, to give people the crops they need and all those sorts of things.
In order to feed them, right? That's
exactly
where the overpopulation came in, for the supplies to be able to feed them and give them water. Do you think that today's climate change is more severe, the same, or how is it different than the ancient climate change?
Well, first of all, I will say this is a little bit outside of my specialization, but since you ask me, my feeling is there are differences. Yes, the Earth has had fluctuations in its climate, short-term ones, over the last 10,000 years or so since the end of the last ice age. But this is an unprecedented level of warming, the speed and the scale of it, and this is why the IPCC and other groups have become so alarmed about the anthropogenic climate change we see now. And so it's difficult to predict precisely how it will impact our region or the Near East, but I think it's safe to say that it's a different ball game than looking at minor fluctuations over a period of 40 years. If anything, it tells us that because these minor fluctuations could be so catastrophic, we really should think about what could happen when we're doing something that's even more significant to the climate.
Okay. Well, UC San Diego anthropologist Adam Schneider, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Gwen Eiffel on the next News Hour. What's happening on Capitol Hill as the old Congress begins to make way for the new one? That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
San Diego Beer Week is in full swing, so KPBS video journalist Nick McVicker visited some home brewers to talk about the growing culture around beer in San Diego.
I think that brewing starts the minute you start thinking about brewing a beer. We're at my home, aka Dale Street Craftsman. We are brewing a Saison.
This is an example of a British crystal malt. The home brewer is located in North Park, San Diego, El Cajon, and 30th. We sell homebrew supplies, and we teach classes, and we sell all the gear and equipment you need to brew a beer and all the ingredients.
You know, you'll shake this in, okay? Good rate. I'll just say slower or faster, but this is good, a little faster. So I started brewing in 2009. I joined Quaff in 2010, a big brew club out here. Brew day is a bit zen for me. I think that there is such a plethora of knowledge and such a sharing community in San Diego.
There are definitely examples of homebrewers collaborating with professional brewers, and whether it's like recipe formulation or just kind of tweaking ideas.
There's a relationship in San Diego, a very good relationship between most pro brewers and home brewers. And all those people, you know, I can email them or sit down with them or grab a beer and trying to, you know, sit down with a brewer and say, okay, well, here's a question I have about this beer. And I could give you a recipe. I could give anyone a recipe. And that doesn't mean their beer is going to be my beer. My beer is my beer. We want everyone to do well, because when someone does bad, it hurts everyone.
Craft brewers and home brewers want there to be an emphasis on quality, because I want you to represent San Diego well. And if you have a bad product, that's not going to work. The homebrewing hobby has been picking up. We get new homebrewers, it seems like, every day.
No grain unturned. Homebrewers have the ability to make 5, 10 gallons, 15 gallons of beer. You could screw it up. It's okay. The homebrewers act as almost quality control. The agility that we have helps the power that they have, and it works back and forth, and there's sort of that checking each other. There's been these seminars, and one of the things that they say is, you're making beer for people, don't f it up.
Don't f it up. You know, we've been working really, really, really hard to build this culture and elevate beer to where it belongs.
Like every brew day, you learn something, or you'll find something new.
We're constantly reminding ourselves the power of saying, I don't know. Like, someone has a question, I don't know, let's find that out. And that's where it's in that moment, that split, like I almost got goosebumps, because that's in that split second where you're like, yeah, this is exciting, there's something more we can learn, let's figure this out.
Okay.
San Diego Beer Week runs through Sunday. Cheers. Well, starting to feel more like fall around here. There's a chance for some rain as well tomorrow. Cloudy along the coast. Upper 60s there. Same for the inland valleys. Mostly clouds right through the weekend. Upper 70s, though, on Sunday. The mountains may see some showers tomorrow as well. Then clear and sunny for Saturday and Sunday. Upper 50s. No rain in the desert. Sunny with temperatures mostly in the upper 80s on Saturday. Let's recap tonight's top stories. The Pentagon says it would consider sending U.S. troops back to Iraq to join the fight against Islamic State militants. Today, Army General Martin Dempsey told a congressional panel it would be a modest increase and would involve more complex missions against ISIS. He says Iraqi forces may need help with operations such as retaking the city of Mosul or restoring the border with Syria. But at this time, there are no official plans for more troops. And immigration advocates say President Obama is ready to unveil a series of executive actions to shield as many as 5 million immigrants from deportation. The New York Times reports the plan includes protections for parents of U.S. citizens and legal residents and expansion of the program for Dreamers, young people brought into the country illegally as children. The report says the announcement is expected before the end of this year. Republicans in Congress are strongly opposed. Of course, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.